I think the other thing that I have found very critical in my career is networking and developing relationships with people.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Career Services Presents Inside the Industry, the Professor Spotlight Series. Today we have Dr. David Moody, who is of the College of Business. Dr. David Moody, do you mind introducing yourself and the classes that you teach?
Absolutely not. As was stated, my name is Dr. David Moody. I am the lead faculty for the Human Resource Management area of the College of Business. I've been in that position since February of 2018, though I have been with Columbia Southern University teaching online since September of 2000.
And can you tell us a little bit about your experience?
I am an online learner myself, having gotten my doctorate from North Central University in Prescott, Arizona. And I went online because it was one of those life events where you're taking your master's degree in an online or on an on-ground course, and you move out of state and you come to a point of saying, okay, I do not have enough credits to transfer to another university and too many that I would lose. So I actually, to finish my master's degree, I had to take a leave of absence from my position. And I said, never again. So I searched out an online school and delighted to have been there. That being said, one of my professors at North Central University happened to be the part-time head of the School of Business at Columbia Southern, and that tells you how long I've been here, since the job was part-time. He said, I'd love to have you teach for me when you get your degree. And when I got my degree, I went right to him and he says, hey, I'd love to teach for you. And he said, here's your first class. And so I've been teaching healthcare administration and human resource management since that time.
Amazing. Are there any special skills that you would recommend possessing in your industry?
Never be afraid to take a job that nobody else will, because it will get you noticed. And so I was never afraid to do anything. And then the other part is I have always been a lifelong learner, and just because I have my degree doesn't mean I stopped learning at that point in time. I went for different certifications, several HR organizations, a member of the American College of Healthcare Executives and the like, where there are continuing education programs that I can stay up in my field. I think the other thing that I have found very critical in my career is networking and developing relationships with people. I don't have a problem whatsoever picking up a phone and calling one of my associates and saying, hey, I need some help here. In my last position, the head of nursing came up to me and said, we need a nurse informaticist. And I kind of looked at her with one of those deer in the headlight looks and said, "What is it?" She says, "I don't know either, but find out." So quickly called two of my friends and they said, "Tell you what, we'll send you a job description." So in a period of a couple hours, I had a job description. I knew what the position was. So it's developing those networks.
Did you always see yourself working in this industry, or were you possibly considering a different path before?
I think that's a great question. I would like to know the number of students who graduate with a bachelor's degree or graduate from high school and say, "This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life." Because I didn't have a clue. I will be honest. Many of my friends were going into the service. I considered that, but I went to school first. My parents were both in education. I'd like to say that my mom taught kindergarten and first grade for 35 years. She just couldn't make it to second grade. And so I truly thought I was going to be a high school teacher. When I got out of college, the next door neighbor, who I had developed a relationship with, says, "Hey, I need a salesman on the road. Would you be interested in wheels for me?" I said, "Sure, it's a great opportunity." So I did that for about 8 years and happened to be in the home office one day. And the vice president of human resources said to me, "David, we've seen what you've done. We think you'd be a great asset to the human resource department. Would you like to move departments?" And I've been in human resources ever since, having finished nearly 37 years in human resources.
That's amazing. And that's very good that you said that. A lot do start their degrees and don't quite know where they might end up. So that's amazing that your path kind of found you and you doing a different role at that company. Did you have any mentors who you would say helped you along the way, or mentors that you currently have who still help you?
And I'd like to look at mentors in a couple of ways. My first boss in human resources was changing dramatically at the time. We had the Civil Rights Act of 64, the amendments of 67 were coming out. Retirement plans were changing because of ERISA and the like. One of my best mentors came in from a company that did reorganizations of hospitals and the like. And so the parent organization brought him in to clean up the organization. And one of the first times I met him, he said, "David, I'm not sure you are the person I want to be my HR executive. Prove me wrong." We worked so well together, ended up being highlighted in a book by Jack Fritz Enns that I still have a copy of. And the program that we put together is still being used there as their performance evaluation. And then my final CEO that I worked with, he and I had a 10-year relationship. And it was always, what can I do to make this better? And what can I do to help you? The last two mentors that I had, if they were to call me today and say, "David, can you get on a plane and come help me?" I expect to go help them. I value their input. I value what they taught me and would certainly move to help them.
That's amazing. It sounds like they've all had a very profound impact on you. What was the most challenging part of your career path, would you say?
Life. It was, as we go back to the whole function of education, I got my bachelor's degree and then was married, had 3 children, and didn't fully grasp the need for more education and certifications and the like until a little later. And then it became very difficult for me at that time, balancing life, children, work, and education. And so it took me, I was out of school probably 15 years before I got my master's degree. And it took me 5 years to get my master's degree. And as I said previously, I even had to take a leave of absence from work to finish it. And it was a commitment at that time that I said, all right, if I'm going to get a doctorate, which I wanted to do it now, get it started, do it online, so that if you move, things change, job changes or the like, I can then take it with me. I can do it. Just like teaching online. I have graded papers and taught courses from Beijing, China, and from Johannesburg, South Africa. So I can take it with me. So that's the online learning has just been great. And so the function of the work-life balance, excuse me, and knowing how to make those commitments to move forward. So yeah, I would have to say that was the toughest struggle in my education.
Thank you. What advice would you give to students or alumni who are interested in entering the human resources industry or even becoming a professor?
In becoming a professor, let's start there if we can. I think the question is, why do you want to be a professor? What are the reasons behind it? You cannot go in for it. You can't go into it to say, I'm going to make money. The money is nice, I'll admit that, but it's more of I want to work with the students to improve the HR function. I want to improve, I want to work with the students to build relationships, because I think going in the educational piece and going in the doctorate, I still keep in touch with many of the students I've had. I was just thinking about previously that my wife and I were on a trip several years ago to San Francisco, ended up having a dinner with one of my students and his wife, had a great time. We stay in touch. Have another couple of students from recent classes who were working together to put together resumes for them to go forward. And I think the key in finding a job in human resources, said before, is networking and building relationships. You should have no problem as an employee walking into the HR office and saying to the HR director, how did you get here? What education, what opportunities presented itself that got you into HR? And then check with another one. I know that several of my jobs that I had was because people knew David's looking. Here, David, here's a person you may want to talk to. And I would talk to that person. They said, David, you aren't right for this one, but here's someone else. Here's a place you can get started. Here's a place that you can learn more about the field to improve yourself going forward. So I keep coming back to the whole deal of networking and building relationships and education, because I think those three areas are critical.
Definitely. We definitely emphasize networking because, like you said, you just never know who you might meet who could introduce you to your next opportunity. And we thank you so much, Dr. Moody, for your time today and the valuable input that you've given us for our students and alumni. And we just thank you for your contributions to Columbia Southern University as one of our professors.